Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another live broadcast with Dorothy-Inez. And today I have my special guest and friend, Miss Candace Perry. Welcome, welcome, Candace.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You're coming all the way from Dallas, Texas.
That's right.
And so Candace is with me today to talk about her journey from going from a job she hated in Savannah, Georgia, to finding the job and career she loves, which is where she's at in Dallas, Texas. I don't know what the heck I was about to say, but but Candace, I don't know where I was going. My mouth was going somewhere that my mind wasn't, Candace. But Candace is a photographer and brand strategist, and like I said, she is in Dallas, Texas, and she is one of my former clients. And so today I'm going to be talking to her about the transformation that she experienced while working with me, as well as how the work that we did a couple of years ago is still paying off, because Candace was a part of one of my very, very first programs. What was it? The Masterpiece of You? Was that the group program? Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, she was in the Masterpiece of You. She's been a private client. She's been an intermittent client. And most of all, she's been an amazing friend. I've been so blessed to have, my clients. I don't know what it is, but we become great friends. And Candace was also responsible for taking some of my very first photos when I started out as a self-love coach. You remember that, Candace? You come to my events.
Good
Yeah,
time. We've been here for so many years now.
I know. It's been a long time. Shh, don't tell anybody. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in and just start getting to the juiciness. And I hope that those of you that are watching, this isn't just about, bragging on Dorothy-Inez. It's really about also you all seeing yourself in Candace, seeing your story in Candace, and knowing that if this is possible for Candace, this is possible for you. So that's what my hope is, and that through both of our stories, through both of us sharing, that God will really speak to your heart, and God will really bless you in our conversation today. So Candace, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So tell me, and tell everyone who's listening, what were the specific problems or challenges you were facing when you and I were looking at working together?
So I think it was around 2014 or 2015 when I just was going through a lot of depression. Just feeling very stuck in life. Like I was stuck with my job. I was stuck with photography. I was stuck with relationships. I was stuck with like even with spirituality. Just everything just felt stuck. And I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I was like, I've been here for 12 years. Nothing has changed. It's always been this feeling of being stuck. And no matter how hard I would try, I just was putting 150% and getting 10% back. And so I actually hired Dorothy-Inez because I was like, I need some advice on this. Like I've been going to friends and I've been going to parents getting advice, but everyone's just kind of like, wait for it to magically change.
Mm-hmm.
Dorothy-Inez is the one that was finally like, you need to put some action behind your goals, and just to find that freedom and from feeling stuck all the time.
Right. And a lot of mindset work we had to do to really get you, because there were some things going on, some stories you were telling yourself that we had to get you to break through. So tell us, Candace, how is that having you feel? How is that having you feel emotionally? How is that having you feel, physically in your body? Because our emotions are affecting us in our body, and they're affecting our relationships. I mean, how are you showing up in life? Because you weren't, you were feeling depressed. Maybe there was some like, I'm not good enough. There was some hopelessness going on. What were you feeling? Tell us about that.
I mean, I was just feeling like this is hopeless. Like, how am I, if I can't, I've been applying for all these jobs. I've been trying to get photography clients. If nothing's working, what hope is there, because I was putting I was working, man, crazy hours all day, work all
Mm-hmm.
day, all night, and just not seeing any results from my work, and socially just not really making any connections. And I just was like feeling hopeless and everything. So just was overwhelming feeling of hopelessness. I remember actually my first session with you had me fill out a little questionnaire to say, what's your pain point level right now? And I think I was at out of a 1 out of 10, 10 being the highest pain you possibly have. I was at like 10 or maybe an 11.
If there was an 11, I think it stopped at 10.
I was just like basically I was at the point where my life couldn't possibly get worse. And I mean, I was contemplating ending my life because I was like, this is just too much. I can't handle this anymore. Like nothing is happening the way I need it to happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know to mention it. But yes, that is where Candace was at when she came to me. I remember her crying and just feeling so frustrated with how life was going. She had people in her life that didn't make her happy. She was attracting in the kinds of clients she didn't want. And she knew there was something more for her. And she knew that Savannah, Georgia was no longer the place for her. And so we decided when we started working together, we got into action, around that. But before we get into the action that we got into, what were some of the obstacles that could have prevented you from working with me? What were some of the things you thought, oh, I just can't, Dorothy-Inez, but you work through those? Because a lot of women that come to me, Candace, they have obstacles. They know they need the coaching, but for whatever reason, they don't. What was your obstacle and how did you break through that?
Um, Backing up just one thing, I think I want to add to this is that I actually was seeing different counselors. So I had put hundreds of dollars into counselors and I was going to all these different people. The thing with counselors a lot of times is they kind of dwell on like, what was your childhood like? But no one's giving me action for the future. And I was like, well, I already can analyze myself. I know I have these issues because this happened to me when I was 5 or this happened to me when I was 8. But like I wanted some action to move forward. And that's what Dorothy-Inez really helped me with, is finding action to move forward and look at the future. But backing up, one of the things that was concern for me was money. I was struggling to make ends meet, not even really having a stable job. I was doing like temp work here and there. Sometimes had some photography clients. There were so many months where I had no income at all. So trying to sign up to pay for a coach was scary. But I decided it was worth the investment in myself because I needed somebody that was future minded and not looking at my past history and talking about that forever. I needed somebody to help me make a plan to move forward.
Right. And so you hear that because that's exactly what I hear a lot of women coming to me say, I don't have the money. But what we have to realize, ladies, is that we are worth the investment. When we say yes, and I think you can agree, Candace, the moment you said yes, money started appearing from places you weren't expecting, right? It was like, wow. And Candace was always on time, if I must say, with her payments. And this is just what happens, is that we have to trust the process when we say yes. We have to get out of fear and trust that, number one, God's going to provide. Number two, you have to be willing to believe in yourself that you're going to be able to recoup this money. And number three, you have to know that you are worth it, that your personal development is worth it. Because otherwise, had Candace not done the work with me, she could possibly still be sitting in Savannah, Georgia, but she's not.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be alive, to be honest. I was at that point where I was just like, I can't take life like this anymore. It's too hard. So I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't have the smile on my face.
And she wouldn't look as refreshed as she does right now. So tell us what specific results have you experienced, having worked with me? We kind of touched a little bit on the first big thing that happened. Tell them about the first big thing that happened.
Well, so funny enough, like I said, everyone in my life is kind of saying like, oh, just, be patient and pray and things will magically change. And I was like, I've been doing that for 12 years and I need something to change. And so Dorothy-Inez was the one and only person in my life to be like, you need to leave Savannah. And I was scared to death to do it, to be honest, because I mean, my family's there, all my friends were there. I don't know anyone in pretty much any other, well, I knew a few people in other cities, but I, Savannah was my comfort zone, so I wanted to stay. But, just through Dorothy-Inez's coaching, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this move. So I prayed about different cities to go to. I did a lot of extensive research on figuring out what city has good cost of living, good city for singles, because Dorothy-Inez encouraged me to actually go after my goal of meeting a man.
Yes.
Which is something else nobody else encouraged me. That's another thing everyone just kind of says, wait for it to magically happen. And I'm starting to believe the mindset you need to actually take steps to make your goals happen. But anyways, what was I going to say?
About the move.
Right. So the move. And so anyways, eventually I narrowed it down to Dallas and I came out here not knowing anybody. And my life has gone from like 360-degree turn. Like it went from feeling depressed every day to like, I have a great job. My photography business has gone from, I mean, I don't even want to say numbers because I don't want to talk about money, but like it has gone from poverty level to like further than I expected. I'll just put it there. Where
you almost quit her job expected. I said, where you're almost able to quit your job.
I'll be probably quitting my job sometime this year. Like definitely quitting my job sometime this year. And that's something I could never. I was in Savannah doing photography for 6 whole years for no results. I've only been in Dallas for 2 years. And in the first year, I had 60 clients. And like in Savannah, I can tell you I had, I think I want to say maybe 12 out of like 6 years. No, that's probably too low, but maybe like 12 a year. And I had 60. So what is that, 5 times my business?
Yes. And a lot of that, plays
shifting.
Say again?
I was gonna say a lot of that was energy shifting because I think I had the power to do it in Savannah. Like I've seen a friend of mine, her business has exploded in Savannah, but I didn't have the positive energy to attract the right clients out there. So I just was so feeling overwhelmed and under everywhere.
Pull back from your camera just a little bit. I want to make sure they see all that beautiful face. Yes. So tell them, what were some of the things that we did, some of the steps that we did, Candace, to get you to that place? Like one of the first things you did was that beautiful vision board that helped you get really specific about your goals. Tell them about that.
Yeah, so Dorothy-Inez recommended doing a vision board, which when she first told me about it, I was like, what is this going to do? Like, what's the point of this? Like, I already know my goals. Like, why is putting them on a poster board going to help me? But putting them on a poster board was actually really powerful because I was able to go back and look through each month and see visually. And plus, I'm a visual person being a photographer. Seeing inspiration for my dreams physically in a printout form was really powerful each morning, waking up to see that and seeing how many things were getting crossed off. I mean, I had a lot of goals that I thought were pretty unrealistic. Like one was to cross 6 figures. I'm very close to there now with my photography business. One was to get a different day job to support my income while I was building a photography business, and I've exceeded that income goal I wanted there. Another one was to do like even fun things like take more painting classes, dance classes, learn how to shoot a gun. I mean, all these kind of
that's self-care, not this business.
Exactly. I didn't want to focus on business, but I had like a lot of life goals. I just was like, I want to know how to do this and do how to do this. And a lot of those goals were crossed off. Like I think I've done everything on the list. The only thing that I'm still working on is the man. So but everything on the list, I mean, there's probably, I think there were like 15 items on the list are all done. So
yeah, I was surprised because almost her whole board was completely done. And what I want to make clear is that this work that I do, I call it, it's the gift that keeps on giving. You're going to have some results happen during our short time together. But what also happens is because you've up-leveled your confidence, because you've shifted your mindset, you begin to see yourself stepping into things and doing things you never would have done before. One of the things Candace and I talked about was upping her rates. You know, she used to be so frustrated about all the work she was doing with clients, and she was feeling kind of, like she'd give these specials to get people in, but then she'd be upset because they were high maintenance. And I was like, girl, what did I tell you? Tell them what I told you, Candace.
Yeah, so, I was, doing a personal brand shoot can be very time consuming because you're planning outfits and locations and custom set design and props, and it's like a full day long shoot. So every single picture tells a different story. You're trying to create images specifically for social media. So I was doing these shoots for like 8-hour day for like $1,000, and I was frustrated because I wasn't getting many bookings at that rate. I was like, well, if I raise it, nobody's gonna pay it, but these people I'm paying that are paying are wanting more and more and more. So Dorothy-Inez was like, raise it. So I actually raised to $5,000, and I got my client probably like a week after Dorothy-Inez said to go that high. And that's for my all-inclusive, all-day package. Of course, I have some lower ones, but like to even have the one client and my all-inclusive, everything, video, photo package was amazing.
Excellent. I mean, she was like, oh my gosh, I got my first 5,000. And I was just like, because she's worth it. And, and this is the thing, as you work on your mindset, as you begin to grow in your confidence, you begin to see this shift in mindset, this shift in confidence affect your business. It affects your relationships. It affects how you show up. It affects what you're attracting into your life. And Candace is attracting in higher level women because how she's showing up is at the highest version of herself. I remember, Candace, if I can say, people didn't like Candace, the old Candace in Savannah, GA, That's why I was like, girl, it's time to shift. And once she began to become more confident in herself, the more beautiful, the woman I always saw in her began to emerge. And this is what makes Candace more beautiful. And now she's got the patience she needs because she sees her value, she sees her worth, and she's charging accordingly to that. So how she shows up now is completely different than the person who is angry and depressed because she was being underpaid and she was giving so much. So it makes a really big difference. Now tell us where you're at now, Miss Candace, with your own home studio and all this stuff going on.
Yeah, so I mean, one of my dreams has always been to have my own studio, and I finally got that here in Dallas. I mean, I did have a tiny little like shed in Savannah, but it wasn't very high end, and I finally actually live in probably, I hate to say it, but like one of the richest areas of Dallas, and my studio is here in the richest area of Dallas. It's like my home studio that I have. I converted a loft into a studio. So that's a dream come true. Like I never thought I would get to the point where I could afford something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Huge leap of faith, which I probably wouldn't have taken without, Dorothy-Inez encouraging me to take these leaps of faith, because looking at the numbers, my rent went from probably a third of what I'm paying now.
Mm-hmm.
But taking that leap was really important for me and my business. And so far, everything's been great.
Beautiful, beautiful. So how has working with me helped increase your level of joy, confidence, belief in yourself, and your spiritual journey with God?
Level of joy. Like I definitely feel, I think when I started, I like said my pain point was at a 10, and I'd say I'm at like a 2 right now, and getting closer and closer to a 1. As far as, my level of happiness, and still little things I've got to work on it. I'm not going to say like life became roses and butterflies, but now I have the tools to work through. I know, like when I see myself spiraling, I'm like, this is a negative thought. I need to shift it. Before I just would let myself spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know the tools to like stop those spirals from happening.
Right.
And spiritually, like my church here in Dallas is my church. Not to say my church in Savannah was bad, but this one is just so much better for me socially. There's just so many people my age where I go to church now. The worship is amazing, like powerful. Every Sunday you get filled up. So it's just a better environment as a whole, like everything spiritually, financially, emotionally.
Beautiful, beautiful. What did you enjoy most about my coaching style?
I like that you're straightforward and direct. You know, you're not going to beat around the bush or let me get away with, you know, my negative energy thoughts. You know, you're going to help me work. You're going to help me work on it. You know, you're not going to let me have a pity party. But at the same time, you're not going to just brush under the rug either. That's one something I really like about you is that you don't say like, oh, well, you know, that's not really a valid feeling. Because I've had some counselors do that in the past, be like, oh, well, you know, you probably weren't really experiencing that, you know, and for you to validate what I'm thinking while still encouraging me to think positively is really powerful.
And then what is the single most thing you think people should know about working with me?
That your energy rubs off on you, like everybody. I mean, just as you can see, Dorothy-Inez, I mean, she's just a bubbly, fun personality, positive all the time, and like just being around her is infectious. So I mean, I would invest in the coaching just to be around her for hours of time that you get to with her, because she's just gonna rub off on you. Like makes me happy just talking to her. So like that energy transcends everything you're going through. Like you might have had a rough day and you just pop on with Dorothy-Inez and she makes you smile.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else, Candace, you would like to share with people watching that may be considering working with me that you'd like them to know? Any final thoughts?
I would say, like, you know, there's an investment, but what I have learned is when you invest in yourself, you start attracting other people that invest in you. So if you have a business, it's, you know, you're investing in yourself, which will in turn kind of reciprocate is people investing in you. You know, taking the time to invest in yourself, like Dorothy-Inez said, will attract higher end clients. If you're doing it for personal reasons, you know, investing in yourself is still important, because if you don't have a happier mindset, you're going to be missing out on relationships you could have, just everything in general, really.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Candace. So, like I said, when we first started, Candace is a photographer and brand strategist. She travels anywhere people need her to come, and you can work with her. Can you let them know how they can look you up, Candace, if they're interested in getting photography, videos, helping, you know, working with their personal brand? How can they find you?
Sure, you guys can check me out at www.beautifulyoustudios.com, and that's beautifulyoustudios.com.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Candace, for being a friend all these years since the very beginning, which was we've known each other since 2010.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that long. Wow.
Yeah, it's been that long, because I launched my business February 13th, 2010, and I think we were already doing photo shoots together.
Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to share your story with me and with the people that watch today. If any of you are watching on the replay, put #replay and let us know you were here. Let us know what touched you the most about Candace's sharing today. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Facebook, or you can email me at info@dorothyinez.com. I wish you all the best, and thanks again, Candace.
Thank you. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.